Welcome back to the channel. This game continues the British Championship, which was reaching its latter stages. Nigel in a very good position. His opponent in the 10th round was James Plaskett, who had played a few times before. A British Grandmaster and quite strong. The game started as an English opening and a very quiet opening. Nigel's played this a few times before. And likes this setup against the English. This move looks a bit strange, but it's just to defend the bishop on b7. Striking in the centre. But so far, all very quiet. Normal development moves. An interesting way to develop the queen, putting more pressure on the a1 h8 diagonal. A1 h1 a8 diagonal. Threatening a pawn break on the queen side. But the game's Miranda and on quite sedately. Trade the bishops. And black doubles on the C file. And one pair of rooks are traded. And the bishop goes back to get more scope. Lining up a potential rook c2. Just putting the rook in a way to intercept the threat on the knight. Often another trade of bishops, and once the bishop comes off, this position is very drawish, which makes what happens next quite interesting. Black plays king to g2, looks a bit innocuous, but is actually a mistake which ultimately costs him the game. And the idea is that it gives black the tempo to play queen to b7, and now he's threatening to discover check with the rook, so the king's either got to move again, or the diagonal's got to be blocked with something like f3, but that allows rook c2. And it's an important tempo. So the rook goes back, the king goes back to g1, but now obviously the rook now can come into the 7th rank. It's a bizarre move. I mean, any other move from the king g2 move, quick c5 for example. This is just one example line where the game is completely drawn. It's just a dead draw. But this king to g2 move puts black into all sorts of trouble, and Nigel jumps all over it. So the queen comes back to try and aid the defence, and black grabs the pawn. And then another move which is a bit suspect. He's hitting the knight on f6, but it allows queen to f3, letting the queen into the position. Obviously threatening queen takes f2 with mate to follow. So white's got to deal with a threat. He can't take the knight. He plays f4, obviously defending the pawn with the queen on d5 on d4. But this is a nice move just to deflect the queen away, so obviously you can't take the pawn. So the queen's got to move, and he makes the obvious move, which is to check. But after king to g7, there's no sensible way for white to do anything. He plays knight takes e6, which I think is just a desperation move, because there's no perpetual checks and there's nothing really to be done. He throws another check in after king to a6. He defends the f pawn, but after knight takes e4, black's now a piece up, a pawn up, or 2 pawns up, and white's got nothing to do. He throws in a token check. But after king to g7, Plaskett resigns. I mean, if queen to e7, then just queen to f7 blocks the check. And as I say, black's a load of material up. So a good win for Nigel. It actually put him in lead of the tournament going into the last round, which actually was a quiet draw against Murray Chandler, a very strong British Grandmaster. But overall, that gave Nigel the British Championship because he was half a point clear going into the last round, and there's a load of draws in the last round. So Nigel became British champion at the age of 19. A fine achievement, a very, very good tournament for him. So he will move on to the next tournament, which I think is the Lloyds Bank tournament, played in London as well, which was not long. Well, was played in London, which was not long after the British Championship. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And until next time, bye for now.